The most important thing for me in making my work is that it's fun. It can be challenging, it can still be frustrating, but the themes and the ideas that I'm working with have to be very exciting, and I want them to incite joy, first in me, and hopefully if I'm doing my job, they'll bring about those feelings in other people. My name is Jaime Lynn Henderson. I am a Chicago-based artist. You know, one of my favorite things is seeing an old movie like Wizard of Oz where you can actually see the sound stage. You can actually see that they didn't use CGI. They had to build all of those things, and people just used whatever they had with their skill to paint and to sculpt and to cut cardboard out and to make what is a stand-in for this incredibly magical world. And somehow that to me is so much more magical. I work predominantly in gouache, watercolor, mixed media, collage, sculptural, installation work. I'll use nail polish, I'll use Sharpies, I'll use crayons, glitter, pipe cleaners, cheap craft paint, a light bulb turned into a hot air balloon. There's a playfulness, I think, in accepting that challenge and taking what you have and making something. Most people use watercolor or gouache in a really small scale way. I really like using them in a very large scale way, applying the paint similarly to how maybe an abstract painter would use a huge brush and tons of acrylic paint just going all over the place, usually with very little idea of where I'm going to be headed with the piece. That's part of the challenge, and part of the fun is seeing where all of the marks lie, and then I'll then start working with smaller brushes, and I'll go in and start creating some detail, sort of telling some sort of story. It's usually a narrative involving a whole bunch of female characters. I like to live vicariously through them, and I affectionately call them my girls. They get to do all sorts of things that I don't get to do in real life. They get to ride on top of whales, they get to go horseback riding through jewelry forests, you know, tree trunks that are made of diamonds and emeralds. They're drawn out either with a big Sharpie marker, just mercilessly, whether I screw up or not. And they're kind of a cross between maybe Disney characters, catty reality TV show women, and maybe, you know, the girl that stole your boyfriend in high school or something on the cheerleading squad. I get inspiration from pretty much everything. Movies, of course, TV, Broadway, old Hollywood. I love Disney cartoons, sitcoms, reality TV, all of that just kind of pulpy, topical surface stuff. I love that, and I'll mix it with my own circumstances in my past. I view my artwork just as much a part of my life as every other part of my life. I absolutely love cooking. I feel like it's just another form of self-expression. You're using your hands, you're working with colors, you're working with texture. I feel like I'm at my best as an artist when I'm taking good care of myself, just as much as accessorizing and loving fashion and clothing and makeup, buy jewelry or hang out with family or go horseback riding. It's all the same. I think probably the entire cast of girly characters came together to decorate my bedroom. This is my treasure trove. It's this ridiculous combination of everything that I love all thrown into one place and kind of set up in a display sort of way that when I first walk in, I'm met with nothing but pink tulle tutus and feather boas and crazy cheap costume royal crowns. So yeah, my room is sort of set up like my own prop closet. My love in clothing and my love in cooking and my love in art are very similar. I'm a casserole girl. I really like contrast and a mixing of styles and flavors and textures, and that's what makes the world go round for me. Being an artist in Chicago means a lot of different things. I am interested in using my creative abilities to help other people and to generate profit for myself. So I am a small business owner. I have my own company, which is JLH Creative Enterprises, LLC. I do work with greeting card companies, fashion illustrators. I do all sorts of pet portraits. You can have your Chihuahua in, the Sahara with a martini if you want. I do all sorts of really fun things like that. This is my self-portrait from 2010. It's sort of a cross between myself, apparently, as a 1950s housewife and maybe a 70-year-old red hat lady. This painting is entitled Wall Writing. Sort of a mix-mash of the Old Testament story of the Babylonian orgy, the writing on the wall that sort of foretold of the doom of the Babylonian Empire because of their mischievous ways. I sort of reinterpreted that for today's ladies of society. This is a new piece called Derby Don'ts, my fantastical idea of what the Kentucky Derby is about. Although I've never been, I imagine that The most fun aspects are probably the competitiveness among all the women and their ridiculous hats, where the work will go in the future. I think that if you try to map it out too much, you might short-circuit your ability to stumble upon something new and exciting. I do think it's good just to sort of give yourself new challenges. I'd love to do a book. I'd love to narrate, write and illustrate my own book and sort of take these girly characters kind of on a ride that goes beyond just one frame. I think that that's what really drives all of the work, is just this desire to go on an exciting adventure. And whether it's me physically doing it by being on a crazy reality show or through my actual characters that are drawn, it's still me and it's still my fantasy.